What's up, guys? My name's Inez. Thanks for joining me. I want to talk today about why the twin flame connection is anything but toxic by nature. And I feel like this is the biggest misconception I see about the twin flame journey. And I feel like it comes from people who feel the need to comment on the twin flame relationship or on the twin flame journey, even though they themselves aren't on it. And, the experience of having a twin, it's very psychedelic. And just like any other psychedelic experience, it's extremely difficult to speak on if you haven't had it. And it's also extremely hard to convey to someone who hasn't had the experience because its nature is so beyond 3D. So, I feel like there's nothing worse than trying to find information about your connection with someone and, maybe having an instinct or a feeling like it's a special bond and it's something you've never really experienced before. And then coming across all this false information, which is it's really out there a lot. That, this is a toxic connection and, whatever else bullshit that, people, again, who aren't actually on the journey are feeling the need to comment about the journey. So to me, that doesn't make any sense. It's like, I am not a lawyer, so I don't give legal advice. It's like if I had never done psychedelic mushrooms before and I was trying to tell someone about what to expect from their first experience, on a mushroom trip. It's like, it doesn't make any sense. So, let's talk about, first of all, why there is a misconception that this journey is, toxic. Because if you're looking at certain elements of the twin journey sort of separated from the whole of the experience, you might think that, I can see how that might apply. So we're going to break that down, and I'm also going to look at actually why this connection is the furthest thing from a toxic connection. First, I want to remind you guys, if you want more content from me, you can follow me on Instagram at Inez.heals and also join my Facebook group where we talk more about working with our journeys of spiritual ascension and how that, how to basically anchor our journey into material success or create material success from our journey of spiritual awakening. So both links for that are below. Okay, let's get into it. So, why do people misunderstand the twin flame connection? So, I guess, I'm going to maybe talk about what a twin flame is, and I feel like there's a lot of information about that already, but it's basically like, when a soul gets to a certain level of evolution, it decides to split, okay? So it's at a high enough frequency that it can split into two of the same thing, just like a cell when it divides, okay? It's not half of the cell, mother cell. It's two whole aspects that come from the same mother. So a twin soul or a twin flame is two of the same souls that have come from a single soul that are incarnated or embodied by two people, usually a man and a woman, but it doesn't have to be. And they're essentially ascension partners. They are there to activate one another's spiritual journeys. They have mission work to do on Earth because they are part of ushering in 5D and New Earth and the Age of Aquarius. So they're basically like the divine warriors, on Earth that have been appointed with particular missions of grounding high frequency energy on this planet. And the high frequency energy that they're grounding is that of unconditional love. When twins already as people are very, they're often starseeds. They might be indigos, like they're different. You can tell that they're different. There's something about them that just feels a bit more ethereal. So they're quite activating for the people around them already in just by being. But when they meet their twin, and especially when they come into union, they really hold a lot of light for Earth. And the eventual, place that the twin journey takes you is basically to be in the vibration of unconditional love at all times. So, you learn it first from your twin, what it means, what it looks like to love unconditionally and what it looks like to not love unconditionally. Then you learn how to love yourself. And when you're both in that same frequency of unconditional love and non-attachment, then you can come together in union. And that grounds, like I said, a lot of light for Earth and a lot of high vibrational energy, which just by its very nature is cleansing and purifying and activating for the people who, interact and engage with the twins. So they're people who are sent here on a divine mission to uplift the frequency of Earth. So when you look at that and you understand that, unconditional love is really like the key vibration or energy that we're seeking through this connection, you really, it is completely opposite from a toxic love connection. But let's talk about why people say that about the twin flame connection. So what happens when twins come together or when they meet, okay, is that essentially all of your deepest wounds are mirrored back to you because your twin has the same soul blueprint as you. The frequency of their soul is the same. And there's, of course, the immediate recognition and this, this feeling of like, who are you and where did you come from? It's like it's very beyond 3D. The way that you feel around your twin. But what it does is, even though you've had different life experiences, often your wounds will be the same, okay, your major wounds, and the traumas that you've experienced, because often twins choose family situations, the souls of twin flames will choose family situations and karmic circumstances that are quite difficult, which is part of their mission of learning how to ground the light in themselves. It's kind of like the more crosses that they have to carry, the more compassion that they have and the deeper that they contact the underworld and the world of shadow and learn how to transform it into light so that they can do that for other people. So even though your life experiences have been different, your core wounds will be the same. And sometimes you'll even have similar experiences within your families and things like that. It's not uncommon at all. And that will create very similar sort of wounding or things that you both feel really sensitive about in your personal lives. And what happens when you meet your twin is that they reflect all of that back to you. Essentially what they're showing you is how connected or disconnected you are from the vibration of unconditional love. And when we talk about, your twin as your ascension partner, your partner in spiritual growth, your partner in this journey of essentially anchoring your consciousness and your awareness into a higher plane and, eventually breaking the reincarnation cycle and ascending to do your work in the higher dimensions. When we talk about that process, a lot of that has to do with letting go of attachments. All of our ego illusions and limiting beliefs and, beliefs that are untrue about the nature of reality and the nature of love and the nature of the human experience and the nature of the human condition. That's really what we're being asked to let go of on our ascension journeys. And that's true for everybody, right? But what happens is that with a twin flame connection, you kind of get a real boost in that process because you have this person there reflecting back to you all the things that you have to work on in yourself in order to let go of those attachments and to, raise your vibrational frequency into a higher level and higher degree of light and love on earth. And so that process of mirroring, it it pulls out the darkness in you. It pulls out the shadow in you. And depending, how much work you've done on yourself, because it's another human being who's activating all of these wounds within you, you may project onto them or feel that they're the cause of that, right? You may feel like, it's because of this person. It's like, this person triggers me. Looking at the trigger as something outside of you, and instead of understanding that it's triggering you because the trigger already exists within you, right? And in that process of mirroring and having to face your shadows and, not getting what you want from your twin, and I'll talk about that in a second, it's really easy to fall into a place where you may be projecting, and that creates toxicity within the connection because there's a lot of illusions, right? You're having your own personal illusions coming up. They're coming up through this person that you feel a lot of intensity with. You don't know what to do with that. It's painful. There's a lot of sadness and grief and disconnection and frustration that's coming up. And it might feel easier, depending where you're at in your level of spiritual evolution, to just blame it on that person. And, there's this real push-pull because you also want so much from them. You want so much for them to love you and for them to see you, and et cetera, et cetera. So there's a lot of, and in that, again, that toxicity can happen. Those dynamics can take place. But here's the thing that's different about the twin flame connection, which is unique to twin flame connections. And that is that the primary bond between you and your twin is dharmic. That means that while there might be karma that comes up because of your interaction and because of, as I said, this mirroring function, while there might be karma within you that you have to sort out that's activated through this person, the bond that you share with them is one of unconditional love. And no matter where, how toxic you can go in your mind in terms of being angry with your twin or, feeling like they're not giving you what you want, the nature of the bond will always take you back to unconditional love. And, just to speak on the whole projection thing, everything that you experience through your twin is actually a reflection of you. So when you're angry at your twin, you're angry at yourself. When you feel like they're not giving you the love that you deserve, it's you not giving it to yourself. It's a very intense sort of process of meeting with your own medicine every time. Or, you know what I mean. So that's why it's mistaken for this, toxic relationship. But that's just one aspect of the journey. That it can go in that direction depending on how much emotional self-mastery exists within both people. And on the flip side, it is primarily a dharmic bond. So the bond between you is always going to bring you back to that place of unconditional love. And the other reason why these connections are not toxic and they can't stay toxic is because when we talk about a toxic love connection, that's what we experience with what's called a karmic partner. That's somebody that, certain aspects of the karmic relationship may, I guess, in some ways feel similar to a twin connection, but it becomes really clear, really obviously that it's not. But I mean, people, karmic connections are connections where you're coming together to work out, again, like your wounds, your karma, your attachments, your disconnection from love, your disconnection from source with another person. And so when that happens, there has to be a certain intensity that brings you guys together, because it's a contract. You guys, all relationships are soul contracts that you've actually, taken before you've agreed to before even coming into incarnation. And And so with a karmic partner, does tend to be that intensity that brings you guys together. But what keeps you guys together is the fact that you can't let go, and that there's codependency, and that there's things that you have to work out, and you're mirrors for each other's shadows, and da 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 da. And in the twin connection, what happens is that because the bond is primarily dharmic, and because you're not meant to fulfill the role of karmic partners for one another. You are one another's king and queen. You are one another's life partner in the highest sense of unconditional love. You might have a contract to bring other beings into this world to help, again, hold more light for the planet. And because of this mission work that you have, and because of the nature and the purpose of your relationship, toxicity cannot last in the connection. And this is when you hear about, twins running and the whole runner-chaser dynamic. What happens is that our higher self will, basically push us to leave the connection. Whether we just need some time on our own, or we take years away from each other. We might go into other relationships with karmic partners because there's still lessons that we need to learn before we can come together in union as twins. So what happens is there's this interference on a soul level, which separates us. And that's a protective mechanism, because it protects the purpose of the connection. And so there couldn't be anything more false than saying that a twin flame connection is toxic, because the very purpose of the twin flame connection doesn't allow for the two individuals to stay in a karmic type relationship for any length of time, because you guys you deflect, you repel each other. And I want to talk more about, that nature of the magnetism and then the rejection that happens between twins. We're going to save that for another video, but there is a lot of that going on, and it's because until both twins have achieved a level of purity within themselves, that they can hold the vibration of unconditional love for themselves, for their twin, and then ultimately for the human family, they won't be able to come together properly in a way that is peaceful and harmonious, and again, of the highest nature of relationship that we are able to have on the earth plane. So yeah, that's what I wanted to share with you guys today. And thanks for listening, and thanks for watching. And I will be back soon with another video for you guys. Much love.